10 times Naruto just made things worse. Naruto is a ninja who fights for peace, but sometimes, he just makes everything worse. Naruto Uzumaki is notorious for his tendency to rush into situations without thinking of the consequences. Usually, that leads to other Naruto characters having to rush in after him. For a large part of the series, Naruto overestimates his own strength in battle and doesn't have full control over his Nine Tails powers. So he ends up being a source of stress for many of his comrades. On top of that, Naruto has a big mouth, and although this helps him change the minds of the villains on occasion, it sometimes just makes things worse. 10. He said he wouldn't give up during the written exam but left his test paper blank. Naruto could have kept his mouth shut when reaching the final question of the Chunin exam's first phase. However, he decided to make a bold statement about how he would never give up in front of everyone, embarrassing his teammates in the process. Everyone in the room was inspired. Though Naruto ended up looking like a fool. This was made even worse when Ibiki found Naruto's test and saw that he had not answered a single question. Naruto had fooled everyone with his confidence until the end. But perhaps no one would have noticed if he had just stayed quiet. His inspirational speech also encouraged more of his competition to push forward, which made the odds of passing the Chunin exams even slimmer. 9. He almost got his team disqualified when he was tempted to open the scrolls in the Forest of Death. Thank goodness Kabuto swooped in and stopped Naruto from going through with his incredibly bad idea to open the Chunin exam scrolls after being warned no to. He almost got his whole team disqualified. Naruto was just trying to help, seeing as Orochimaru had set them back in the exam's second test. However, Naruto's idea would have certainly ended poorly for the hopeful ninja and his team. 8. He yelled at Rock Lee during the Chunin exams. Rock Lee gave it his all during his fight with Gaara during the Chunin exams preliminary matches. He almost died, and he sustained severe injuries that were supposed to ruin his chances of ever being a ninja again. However, Rock Lee never gave up. Even while unconscious, he still tried to continue the fight, and only Might Guy's intervention stopped it. Still, Naruto had to open his mouth and berate the passed-out Rock Lee for giving up, making the whole situation a tragic disaster. Eventually, Kakashi had to jump in and silence him. 7. Fighting with Sasuke on the roof likely pushed Sasuke over the edge. Sasuke Uchiha was enraged to see that Naruto had defeated Gaara, and he was even angrier that Naruto was catching up to his power level. He always looked down on Naruto, and seeing him do well just made Sasuke more insecure in his abilities. So, when Naruto fell for Sasuke's taunt, effectively agreeing to fight him, Naruto no doubt made things worse. Luckily, Kakashi was able to step in and redirect their attacks. Sasuke was even more enraged to see that his Chidori did less damage and Naruto's Rasengan, further convincing Sasuke to take Orochimaru up on his offer for power. 6. Promising to bring Sasuke back put a lot more weight on Naruto's shoulders. Naruto could have pursued Sasuke to the ends of the earth and back without making the promise he made to Sakura. Because of that promise, he put a lot more stress and responsibility on himself and on Sakura, who would later see the error in asking Naruto to make that promise in the first place. Naruto did not want to see Sakura sad. He knew how much she loved Sasuke. However, his promise was made largely for himself. Regardless of the reasons why he made the promise, it made his quest to save Sasuke all the more stressful for himself and those around him. 5. Naruto forgot about Shino hurt his feelings. When Naruto returned to the Hidden Leaf Village and frantically looked for someone to go on a mission with, he ran into Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, and Shino Aburame. However, he recognized everyone except Shino, who was offended by this. Naruto made things worse by continuing to ask Kiba and Hinata while ignoring Shino and constantly forgetting his name. Though this was a relatively small blunder, it was hilarious and sad for him to forget about Shino and continue to dig himself into a hole over his forgetfulness. 4. He rushed off after Deidara and put the whole team at risk. Naruto was outraged by the loss of Gaara. The two had come to a deep understanding during their fight in the original series. And few others could ever understand each other as they could. So, when Gaara became Kazekage, it gave Naruto hope, and he was happy for his friend. When Deidara ran off with Gaara's body, Naruto was understandably upset. However, his thoughtlessness forced Kakashi to leave Lady Chiyo and Sakura to fight Sasori alone. Furthermore, Kakashi was placed in a vulnerable position because of this. 3. Naruto took a risk by going into Fox mode to fight Orochimaru. Jiraiya warned Kakashi never to let Naruto give into the Fox cloak, and once Three Tails appeared, it was all over. While Kakashi was stuck in the hospital and Naruto decided to go after Orochimaru, Captain Yamato was brought in. This was because of Yamato's sealing abilities. Still, even Yamato had trouble sealing Naruto when he reached Four Tails after being enraged by Orochimaru. He destroyed an entire landscape, hurt Sakura, and almost ended their chances of finding Sasuke. 2. He constantly digs himself into a hole with Sakura. Naruto had a crush on Sakura for the longest time, but he always said the wrong thing. It was bad enough that she already loved Naruto's lifelong rival, Sasuke, but his accidental insults constantly shot down his chances at ever convincing her to consider him. When Sakura got older, the consequences for Naruto's offhanded comments were more severe, as she could decimate an entire landscape with one punch. Naruto had to backtrack many times, but each time he did so, he only made things worse. 1. He antagonized all of the Hokage. Naruto seemed to have no respect for any of the Hokage. A lot of this was simply Naruto's personality and familiarity with the few Hokage he served under. While he aimed to be Hokage himself, his actions toward the individual Hokage were less than helpful. He often vandalized the city and terrorized the citizens, and the third Hokage was in power. And he didn't hesitate to insult Tsunade while she was Hokage.